What's up, Craig?
It's on you, it's all on me. Can't you see? It's on you, it's all on me. You and me, can't you? It's on you, it's on me.
Hey, Craig. Right or wrong, we don't care. Win or lose, we don't care. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, buddy.
We got to start hitting record on our before podcast, man.
I know. We get as soon as we get on, if people had any idea, I mean, I'm sure this is really normal for, people who podcast, but imagine you call your best friend on the phone and you start making small talk. That's what happens when Craig and I jump on. Like, hey, buddy, how's it going? Hey, not bad. All right.
We so often
and then it's
often small talk about the things that we podcast about.
Yes, we start with small talk about things that we are eventually going to talk about. Like, wait. We should save that for the show. Like we were talking about, one of the things we'll do on this show is, preview the Apple Cup, obviously. Even though somehow that's not the biggest piece of news right now, but we're gonna preview.
Man.
I know, go ahead.
I guess we could have done it last night, but obviously we couldn't do it last night, so we got a lot of shit to talk about.
Well, it's a good thing we didn't do it last night, because if we had,
exactly. That shit broke while we were recording.
I know, but it was pretty funny as we were talking about previewing the Huskies, and I was like, yeah, I was gonna watch the condensed games that Matthew loves ball. People familiar with him on YouTube. I was gonna watch that, but I didn't. And then of course you
I said,
you let me know how you really feel about that.
And I said, yeah, I was gonna watch some highlights, but I just really don't give a fuck about them.
Yep.
Why would I subject myself to Husky football and especially highlights where I know they won? Like, I don't want to watch that, dude. No.
I know. I can't resist. I'm sure I will, as I'm working on the game day guide so that I have some sense of what I'm actually talking about. But I think this podcast, especially given the news about the conference, just given sort of how WSU centric we are right now with that particular news, I think honestly, and I think, by the way, so a lot of people, like they do when major news drops, they turn to social media, right? So there were lots of people on Twitter today, and a lot of people were having a less than pleasant experience on Twitter with Huskies jumping into their mentions, telling them how they should feel about this, and having the fucking audacity to suggest that we should be ashamed of ourselves for raiding the Mountain West Conference, because that is totally different than what they did when they left for the Big Ten. Totally different situation. Totally different. And how dare we go and pillage another poor conference? And it's just I for one was thankful that we had the refuge of our members only Slack, which is up to now 71 members, which totally kicks ass. And is a really, just fun number and good group of people to just sort of sit around and bullshit. I was supposed to be, I was teaching today. I'm not, God, if any of my employers are listening, I was teaching today, but checking on the Slack.
I was pretty active in the Slack. If my employers were listening, I also was working.
Yeah. But checking, during passing period, in between, I was dying. I was cracking up. I'm laughing. My students are looking at me like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, dude, I'm having too much fun right now with this news.
Yeah. So obviously we're talking about the news. Hold on. This is okay.
Yeah. Maybe we should reset real quick.
Yeah. So we're almost 5 minutes in, but hey, welcome to Podcast versus Everyone. Episode 223. I am Craig Powers. With me as usual is Jeff Newser. And Jeff, so we could Apple Cup preview, but I think we should talk about the conference news first.
Yes.
And talk about tech and all that. We'll talk about all that. But obviously, the biggest thing that happened today, and the biggest thing that's going to happen this week, is the Pac-12, Pac-2 becoming the Pac-6, adding Mountain West schools, Boise State, Fresno State, San Diego State, and Colorado State. So now up to 6, 3 not a states. I saw a great, really simple meme said this is how you do the divisions. Not a states versus states. So
Yes.
three not a states and 3 states.
Yes.
And yeah, like they had to do something, and I think it's a you said it in your newsletter you just sent out. I it's really long. I only read a little bit of it so far, but it's a savvy move.
You're like that meme that's like, I'm sorry that happened or happy for you. I ain't reading all that because we can just talk about it, right?
Yeah. So the a savvy move. I mean, honestly, if they were able to get a legitimate invite from the Big 12 or a legitimate invite from the ACC, I'm sure that would have happened by now. Like, I'm sure they would have joined. But in lieu of that, it's rebuild the conference time. They got some extra money from the lawsuit. They have, extra money to pay pay for some of these fees and stuff. The Mountain West are going to have to pay. But I think the writing was on the wall that we were headed towards this when it came out that they broke off the scheduling agreement with Mountain West for next year. And that, that kind of signaled either they were going to, what people were hoping is that they were going to have like a Big 12 schedule agreement or whatever. But what I think now it signaled is that the Pac-12 was in discussions with these 4 teams to join the league, and the Mountain West was pissed. And they're like, no, and so they just kind of mutually agreed, we're not going to do this scheduling agreement again, and you're going to give us some money because we told you not to do this. So up to 6. Jeff, what are your thoughts? I gave some thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean, so from the very beginning, like the very, very beginning, I'm talking like last August, right? When all of this went down, and I think we all sort of said, well, welcome to the Mountain West, right? I think that's where we all figured this was going to end. Like, okay, there's going to be this quote unquote reverse merger, right? Where technically the Pac-12 is acquiring the Mountain West, but really in reality, the Mountain West is adding us, right? So it's like the Mountain West adds us, but we rebrand the Mountain West as the Pac-12 and call it a Pac-12. And that was always, that never felt great, right? Like, it's like that felt like a clear demotion that we had been. I mean, look, we're both soccer fans at this point. For soccer fans who are familiar with relegation, that felt like straight up relegation. Like we have been taken from one level and shoved down to another level.
Except in relegation, you have to lose your way to do it.
You have to lose your way into it, and you can win your way back up. Neither of those were going to apply to us. So I think it was sort of like, oh shit, like you just kind of looked at it that way, and that's where we're gonna end up. This is better than that. And that's because you have picked off essentially what are the top 4, right? Programs in the Mountain West. Obviously, Boise State, San Diego State, total no-brainers. Those were 2 programs that had been talked about before the Pac-12 fell apart, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe the Pac-12 adds these 2 guys. Colorado State, is a school that has a lot going for it. Hasn't quite translated into success. They're kind of like the Arizona State of the Mountain West, where you look at them and go like, how are they not better? And for some reason they just can't figure it out, but all the tools are sort of there. And, we'll talk, I'm sure talk about basketball and all this, but they've been, very good at basketball very recently, with like their last 3 of their last 4 coaches. So like there's that aspect too. And then Fresno State has proven multiple times under a couple of different coaches in the last couple decades, they can be very good at football. And then, somebody was on our Slack kind of talking about, hey, I'm in, Northern California, and I can tell you, like, Fresno State kind of owns the northern half of California. So I think you put all that together, 4 really strong brands, easily the top 4 brands there, with the exception of maybe UNLV. But the separate issue there is UNLV and Reno, Nevada. The school we typically know as Nevada is Nevada Reno. Well, UNLV is Nevada Las Vegas. They're actually both part of the same system as you would say, like WSU Pullman, WSU Tri-Cities, WSU Vancouver, like that sort of thing. So
similar to the issues that UCLA has had with bailing on Cal and the lawsuits there, like the money they actually have to pay Cal. Yeah.
So you can make an argument for UNLV being one of those top brands, but if you're going to take UNLV, you very likely, at least at this point, have to bring Nevada along with them. And there's no reason to make that move right now. Like, Nevada obviously has been good at basketball over the years, but football's been a real struggle. And so I don't think it's a move you make right now.
I might be giving them too much credit, or I might not. And there's this sentiment that, we pillaged them and we ruined the Mountain West. But there actually are still 8 teams left in the Mountain West. There's still a legitimate conference. They actually don't even have to add anybody if they want to continue being a conference. This is very different from when all the Pac-12 teams left. But 2,
it's not even close to the
high
same.
And dry. And let's be honest, like I want to say that they may have been mindful. Let's only take 4 teams. Let's not ruin them. And also, you probably, like, strategically, you don't want to take too many Mountain West teams. You don't want to be the Pac-12 Mountain West merger that you talked about,
right? Just
with the Pac-12 name with WSU and Oregon State. This is smart. Now you can go look at maybe really good Sun Belt teams, or really good American teams, or maybe you can pick off if there's something happens with the ACC. That also leads to maybe things happening with the Big 12. Maybe you pick off some teams. Maybe even eventually, when shit goes down, maybe some of the old teams come back. You kind of leave yourself open for that. Based on what happens with that grant rights lawsuit with Clemson and Florida State and the ACC. But then if not, you can look into other programs like Texas State or whatever. And just kind of you only need to add 2 more to be like a legitimate conference in the eyes of the college football playoff and all that,
which is all you need, right? The college football playoff, they're under the current agreement, they're paying out $110 million or something a year to group of 5, what'll now be essentially group of 6 schools, and I don't know. So I tried to look this up for the newsletter as to how that money is distributed. It goes to all of group of 5. So it's not it's not like you make it to the college football playoff, you win $110 million for your conference. It's not quite like that as near as I can tell, but I also can't get any sense of actually what the agreement is as far as distribution goes between all those teams. That said, I got to imagine there's a provision for most of, or at least more of that money to go to the teams that make it in. And so when you get access to that CFP, you get access to that money, you get access to that berth. And then, and this is the other thing. Okay. So you add 2 more teams, you got an 8-team conference. Scott Burns, the athletic director at Oregon State, said they're shooting for 9 teams, which seemed kind of oddly specific to me, but he said it was, for scheduling purposes, right? So you have 8 conference games. Conference schedule. Which does make sense, but the part there's also a part of me that's like, I think they probably already have 3 schools in mind. Yeah. But regardless, fewer mouths to feed means potentially a greater chance of making the playoff. The irony here is we very likely have greater access to the playoff now than the 10 schools that left.
Yeah. Because I mean, they have auto bid. Basically, you have to win a much more difficult conference that has 16 teams in it to get your auto bid. And Utah is in position to potentially be able to do that. Maybe Arizona, maybe Oregon, but probably not Oregon. I don't know. Like, and but like UW, they're going to be sitting like, I mean, it's going to be like like hard for them to always like beat out Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah,
and all that. But if you look at like, if say this new Pac-12 is just, you know, on the line of getting the auto berth at all of the top group of 5 team, WSU and Oregon State added like one of the teams that almost always gets that, like, like, you know, that has got historically has gotten that auto bid, group of 5 auto bid many times, and that or a bid of some sort in Boise State. Yep. And so they're basically creating a super group of 5 league where if you the team that wins this league is going to have a better strength of schedule. If they have 1 or 2 losses, they're going to have, you know, they're going to have still like priority over like the Liberties of the world and the Sun Belt champ and all that.
Yep.
Because like they're going to have, you know, the best of the group of 5, especially considering some of them have been like picked off by the Big 12 already. And so, you know, because, you know, they were looking at Memphis. You know, I've heard Memphis floated, you know, Tulane and, you know, schools like that. You add those teams, you're creating like a super group of 5. Whoever wins that, probably if you win that conference and it's only 8-9 teams, you're probably in the playoff, and that's pretty cool. And WSU is set up to potentially like be a top half in this league, regularly, and which is why I beg Coug fans to not be so. I know it's hard to take that we're like on the level of these teams now, but we already were as soon as it happened last year.
Yep.
And those teams are so excited about this.
Yep.
It's going to be a boon to their donations.
Yep. And
we are at risk if we are bummed about it and people are pulling back to have them catch up and pass us. And so we just can't. I hate to be like Glenn Osterhout right now, but like we like can't.
Come on, Cougs.
We just like, I mean, like we're so like let's not do that. Let's kick the shit out of this new league. Like let's be the fucking top dog assholes.
Yeah.
In this
and let's
league.
go. Yeah, and let's go get in the playoff, and let's laugh at the Huskies who are not in the playoff.
Like we were never gonna get to playoff outside of like running the table in the Pac-12.
Yeah,
because we saw when they were 10-1, they were ranked 8th. So like, it was they were never going to get to the playoff unless they ran the table. And honestly, UW had to like run the table last year, like it's like to get there, you know. And so it's like, but we're not, you know. Now you could probably go like in this, like especially if they, you know, in the expanded 12, maybe 14. Yeah. You could probably go 10-2, 11-2, win your conference title, probably be the top ranked group of 5 team and get in.
Yep. Well, and also like there's no, I mean, I don't even know if I don't know. Like there's probably going to be a conference championship game just because there's potential extra money involved there. But I don't know if there's a lot of benefit to having one. You may not actually have one. Right? You go 10-2.
Yeah, because you don't want that extra loss and then someone.
Yeah, you don't want that extra loss knocking you out,
takes
right?
your spot. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, in all the other, you know, the Power 4 at this point conferences, like, you know, I mean, these extra spots are presumably mostly going to go to the Big 10 and the SEC and whatever. It doesn't matter. So
the Big 12 and ACC aren't pulling those.
Yep. And they get, you know, that was the expectation all along. They expanded it so like you get more teams in. They're taking, I don't know, 60% of the money or something like that. Those two conferences. You know, it's just like whatever. So I do want to point out something that you said that I think is totally spot on, which is you can have a shit ton of fun as a fan having a successful program at a slightly lower level. Like that can happen. You can do that. Like, and we have, I mean, against maybe what I would prefer, But like we have, plenty of WSU fans who have also been Gonzaga fans. And, it hasn't been during this whole Gonzaga run of them being real, real good and getting to the tournament every year. They haven't been a national championship contender for all of that. They've been a national championship contender for maybe like the last, I don't know, like a serious contender, like 5-6 years, maybe, except for that that 1 year, right?
1 year, yeah.
But other than that, they were, just a really good WCC
Sweet 16,
team. They were winning their conference every year. Yeah. Sweet 16. And that is fun as shit. Like those fans were having a ton of fun with that. And I think you can also look, all over, again, to just kind of bring soccer back into the conversation, but you can look all over the rest of the planet where there are soccer leagues, and not everybody's competing. Very few teams are competing at the highest level in all these soccer leagues all over the countries. And when I was in England, I went to a Queen's Park Rangers game, which they are in the second division in England, known as the EFL Championship. They're not a very good EFL Championship team, but I went to this stadium that seats 18,000, 19,000. I mean, I sat right next to the field with my family, and I had a fucking good ass time. Hanging out with all these fans. They love their team. The place was sold out for a team that's going to finish 18th, in the second division.
Yeah.
But it's their club. They love it. And it's whatever. In fact, there was a guy I talked to at the risk of going too far off track here, but the guy sitting in front of me was, lifetime QPR fan. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, are they any chance they get promoted this year? And he's like, no, but frankly, I don't want them to. And I was like, why? And he's like, the championship's way more fun. And I'm like, well, why is that? And he's like, when you get to the Premier League, there's 3 or 4 teams that can win it. And that's it. And in the championship, anybody can win it. It's actually pretty fun. Anybody can, anybody can win. Anybody can win the championship. Anybody can win on a given weekend. There's no, 500-pound gorilla like there is in the Premier League with, Manchester City and, Liverpool and Arsenal and, I guess I could put Spurs in there, but you know what I mean? It's there's not that. And they have a great time with that. And I think that we as Americans would maybe really benefit, and we as WSU fans could really benefit from taking that kind of an attitude to dominating where we're at and enjoying that.
Well, yeah, and what we kind of, when the chat really got fun today, the premium chat, I just kind of was I was having a shitty morning, and I was I'm tired of there's people that were kind of wallowing, and I get it. I said this thing, there's kind of 2 groups of Cougs from what I can tell. There was a groups like you and I, Jeff, that kind of already grieved the loss of something a year ago.
Yes.
But there was these other group, which, no fault at all about this, is they held on hope that we could jump back into the Big 12 or the ACC or something.
And I don't blame them.
And I don't blame you at all for doing that. But the news today, while we were oh, cool, we're doing something, they're this is the finality for them. They understand now, it's this, okay, we're not going to the Big 12. This is it. And so there was kind of some of that in the chat. And so I just kind of wanted to bring it back. And I started being well, this playing these Mountain West teams could be really fun. We could have a fucking amazing rivalry with Boise State.
Oh yes.
It's
gonna be so nasty.
Playing them every year. Yeah. Us, Oregon State will have it too. We're going to have all the Cougs that live on the east side of the state. It's a 3-4 hour drive to 4 hours to Boise State. I have my friend Rochelle lives in Tri-Cities, and she started to dox you, Rochelle, but she's going to Boise State 'cause it's only a 4 hour drive.
Yes.
And this year, and I'm yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's less than it takes me to drive to Pullman, and so so we're gonna have tons of Cougs go to when it's at Boise State. There's gonna be tons of Boise State fans when they come up here. It's gonna be really fun. That's gonna be a fun rivalry. They think they're hot shit. We're it's gonna they're gonna be annoying and it's going to be fun. Like,
Yeah.
And then, San Diego State, like, I'm going to San Diego this year.
Hell yeah.
And
San Diego kicks ass.
And I love San Diego. I secretly love San Diego State basketball. And I'm kind of, I'll have to be like, oh, should I have to?
Yeah,
but now we get to root for them as our conference members to lift up our status as a conference.
I will be more invested in the success of these other programs than I ever was invested in the success of any other program in the Pac-12.
Yeah, because they're us. Like they're like us, and so
exactly.
It's like easier to root for them. Like, yeah, like so is that's great, like and they can bring back Pac-12 Network and they can put the Boise State's Fiesta Bowl on it, like to do with the old Utah game, like with the old Utah games when they were in the Mountain West.
Yes.
But yeah, but I think this could be really fun. And yeah, we have the best facilities. Like we brought all these teams in. We still have the best facilities. We have the the best stadium. We have the biggest fan base. Let's stay that. Let's be the assholes with our pinkies out.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, like trashing on Fresno and trashing,
hell yeah. You're not even a state. That one's going to get a lot of mileage.
Yeah. So the chat was really fun. We were making tons of jokes about like being the shitheads and how like we enjoyed when we were the Sounders, when the Sounders were like peak. How everyone hated the Sounders and it was really fun as a fan. So I just hope that we can, keep our level of play up in some of our sports, so that we can be the top, like a top brand in this conference, because that will be fun. And because honestly, that's what there's been a lot of Coug fans over the years, and I admit we often were like, no, we don't want to go down, which I still like. If the option was, I would still rather be a Pac-12, like the original Pac-12. But who always said, can we go to the Mountain West and we'll just dominate? And I was always like, there's a problem with that. If we lose our advantage of them, our advantage over them when we go down, the way we keep that advantage is if we still care. And I've been thinking about this year, like, as these first two games, you've been looking at the schedule, and when I did a Q&A with a UW writer, and Kevin Casabellas, and for C-Town Sports, I'd recommend go checking it out. I had a lot of fun with it. I also took a nice dig at the Huskies in there, and he enjoyed that. I think he was hoping it would drive traffic. I hope it did.
And he's a good dude too. He's one of the good ones. He's one of the good ones.
We've interacted with him for well over a decade. It's so funny.
I was gonna say 15 years.
He messaged me and he goes, "It's so funny. The last time I DM'd you was 2012." I was like, "Dude, that's hilarious. Like we have been on this hell site for so long."
Yes,
long.
We have.
But yeah, so I was thinking one of the questions he asked was what is the ceiling and what's the floor, and I was honestly like, I wanted to be like, well, the ceiling's kind of 12-0, but like that seems like I don't want to say that, so I said the ceiling's 11-1, because like really after UW, the only game that WSU is not going to be favored in is Boise State, so on the road, maybe Fresno, but probably not. Because San Diego State doesn't look good on that road game. Like, I think the only game they'll not be favored in is Boise State, unless they really tank. And I said the floor. It was weird to say, like the floor is like 6-6 because they have 4 like
I think so.
pretty favorable home games left.
Yes,
and so
it's hard to imagine them losing any of those.
If we were in the Pac-12, we would be hoping to get to 6 or 7 wins with this team. Let's be honest.
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
But now we're looking at, like I said, the most realistic record is probably like 9-3.
Yeah.
And that means
I think our fans are going to find out this year that winning is fun as shit.
Yeah.
Even if maybe the competition isn't exactly what it was.
Exactly. And we've already we don't have to worry about not, it's false because we already kicked the shit out of a Power 5 team, if we want to talk about that now.
Yep.
Like if we want to transition into talking about how we beat the living hell out of Texas Tech. Like
It was
just
great.
Obliterated them.
Well, and doing it in a way that we have not exactly been known for in the last,
right.
I don't know, 12 years, right? Since Mike Leach showed up, being physical,
in the battle of Mike Leach, there was, I think, almost 500 yards total rushing.
Yes. Yep. 300 of it from us.
300 of it.
And 200 of it from our quarterback.
He had over 200 after that amazing final run.
Yeah.
And then they called that weird pass play from like the goal line.
I know.
And he got sacked and he got his helmet pulled off. And I don't know the rules around that apparently.
Just under. Well, supposedly that's supposed to be like a face mask type penalty, but
yeah,
whatever, I guess.
I was losing my mind.
I mean, I'm sure you were. I'm sure you were from the stands. You were yelling at those refs, I'll bet. That's a fucking penalty.
BA and I drinking our double
your double single
double Pendletons where you have to order 2 singles, but BA had it down just to get one whiskey soda, and then split that, and then put the other shot, and then you order the second shot neat, and then you pour it in,
yes,
and so you have like a true double. So it's not
there
like really weak, you know? And
right.
Brian, fucking champion of drinking. Because
it's true.
We were
Brian is the champion of drinking.
We were so kicking Texas Tech's ass that before the fourth quarter ended, we went and bought our traditional celebratory Pendleton drinks. Usually we get Pendleton on the rocks, like a triple, a double, or a triple, whatever Mahalo will give us after the Cougs win. And so we kind of felt it, that, and then they got that like onside kick, and we're like, shit, what do we do? And it was all right.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we did. I mean, I think, on last week's show, we both were confident that WSU was going to win, but like, I neither of us forecasted it like that.
Yeah. And you could say things like, oh, they outgained us. Well, they got a lot of yards.
Whatever.
They got a lot of yards in the fourth quarter they got like 60 yards on that last drive with their quarterback just running straight forward. And we're like, whatever, dude.
Yes.
Run the clock out. We don't care.
Which I did not see because I absolutely fell asleep on my couch. 4-hour football games are not my jam anymore. I got to a point where I was like, oh my God, this game is so long. I'm just going to close my eyes just for a sec. And then like I woke up later and the game was over and I was like, oh shit, what did I miss at the end? Well, apparently that's part of what I missed. I don't know. But I mean, we talked last week about yards per play. What was their yards per play? Like 5.5?
5,
something like that.
5.6. And
so there you go. Which is real low.
They threw for 343 yards, but that was only 5.7 yards to throw. They threw it 60 times.
Right. Which is pitiful. They had no ideas on offense.
Yeah,
other than
they had 491 yards, but took 87 plays to get there.
Which is so
yards
plays.
to hold an offense that is expected to be as good as Texas Tech's and was last year. It's in like 5.6 is a very good number to hold a team to. And that's why they had all those yards and only 16 points. Is because they were struggling to like consistently move the ball, and obviously they turned the ball over. Fucked up.
Yeah, and we also benefited obviously from Taj Brooks being out. But is Taj Brooks a 3-touchdown player? I don't think so. Like I don't think that one guy is a 3-touchdown difference. If I'm being honest.
And I'll say like what helps lead to those turnovers is making a team grind.
Yeah.
And so you're just inviting that quarterback. You throw that quarterback throwing the ball 60 times the way he was throwing it. Of course, we were going to pick the ball off.
They did everything humanly possible to protect that guy. Yeah. Like so many throws at or near the line of scrimmage. Like it was insane what they were doing with their passing attack. And with the way that they were scripting things and the plays they were using, like there was a point, in like the second quarter, I think, where they were moving the ball a little bit, picking up some first downs. But I was just like, man, they are having to work really hard to pick up like 11 yards, 8 yards. You know, there were no explosives. They were having to like misdirection, screen, just sort of like basically gimmick their way to it. And then later, the touchdown they got, 20-yard passing touchdown, that was a trick play. Like they just were so deep in their bag. And I'm like, man, you can't sustain this. That's not sustainable. Eventually you're going to run out of ideas. I mean, we saw it. We saw it with maybe not last year, but I think kind of the year before with Eric Morris. There were some times where it was like, oh man, we are really scheming this shit up right now, which makes you feel okay in the sense that, hey, we're doing something, but also you're like, you know, eventually you got to go back to some kind of base, something or other, and you got to be able to move the ball. And it was pretty clear Texas Tech wasn't gonna be able to do that. And when that happened, we really pulled away. And doing it with such a physical attack was, I think, the most sort of pleasantly surprising piece.
Yeah, because it's not like, they were like, Mateer got a lot of runs off of passes, like, or design passes, but he also they were running the QB, what they were calling it on the broadcast, QB counter, over and over again with Javensky Schlembecker lead blocking because he's a big
lead
dude,
blocking.
Like playing fullback and doing a hell of a job of it. Because we see he does a really good job picking up pass rush as well. Which the one thing that's nice about Arbuckle's scheme is that we actually have a running back that'll pick up the pass rush sometimes.
Yes.
But yeah, like he did a hell of a job. His running stats don't look great, but he did have 2 touchdowns, and he did set a hell of a lot of great blocks that helped John. And John also just created out of his own, like, so many yards. Like,
dude, he looks like a guy who could actually legitimately just be a running back.
Yeah, like he legit just looks like a running, like that. So his first like big run when he juked 2 guys in the middle of the field and then took it outside, and the announcers were just like losing their minds. Like that was such a sick cut. Like and the way he accelerated out of it, he's a running back at playing quarterback. Yeah, his passing numbers is like, especially in the way he started, have been iffy. But he started 2 of 7, he ended at 9 of 19, so he like picked it up towards the end again. He just didn't throw as many passes, he actually threw fewer passes, but it was just against a tougher team. But yeah, so maybe his passing still leaving something to be desired, but when you can run like that, I'll say there's a lot of mechanical issues. It seems like his touchdown pass to Kyle Williams, he did this weird like jump float pass, and that's why he left it short. And so like there's still a lot of things to be done, I think, with his throwing, but his running is just so damn good. Like it's so good. And I think
are you worried at all? He might have. Are you worried at all that the passing is going to be a limitation? Like at some point, I think with most of our opponents, we don't have to worry too much about it. But like this weekend, I know we're not talking about the Apple Cup yet, but like if an opponent can, limit the rushing attack, put us behind the sticks, like how do you feel about a game resting on his arm?
Yeah, I mean, not great right now. He's got a really high interception percentage, that way higher than we're used to through his career so far. His accuracy hasn't been there. He's obviously had some slow starts. He seems to get kind of jazzed up at the start and make some bad throws. Obviously, WSU started with that amazing surprise onside kick, and then he immediately throws an interception, like a really bad one. And and we've seen him throw some really bad ones. And that is concerning. But it's like when you have a guy that can make plays like that with his legs, I mean, if he could also throw it, this would be his last year in college. He would go to the NFL. Like,
yes.
So I know that there's going to be growing pains in that area, and we're just going to have to live with it. Because honestly, it's so much fun to watch your quarterback bust out like a 65-yard run where he breaks like 4 tackles and gets his helmet, like gets his face mask grabbed and still runs for 15 more yards. Like, it's so fun. And I would just wish on some of the runs he would. There have been times when he could get 2 more yards, or he could go out of bounds and he already has first down. It's like, go out of bounds, son. Like, go. Like, like,
yeah. But I also his build makes, like, I don't sit there and think like, oh no, he's like, I don't know, man. When Cam Ward would run the ball, I'd be like, please don't take a hard hit. But with Mateer, it's like, he'll be fine. Like obviously you don't want him to take a hard hit or a direct hit or anything like that. But I'm also like, I mean, look, Craig, I don't know if you heard, but he squats 600 pounds.
But 440, as we learned on Emma's show, Pack in Action, which I missed. I haven't seen the episode today. Sorry, Emma, but I will.
Sorry, Emma.
I will watch it. They had Kyle Williams on today.
Yes.
Which that airs on Pac-12 Insider, and I think they also posted on YouTube.
I think it's on YouTube.
And Samsung TV, some other things like that. But yeah, I also have to be on Mateer. Obviously, Wayshawn Parker looked great again.
Yes.
Just an incredible touchdown run. Like, we didn't have a running back that could do that last year. We just didn't.
No.
Like, he had a hole. He busted outside. He was gone. It looked like 2 of the guys could have grabbed him. Nope. Sorry. Like, he's so good at shedding off that he's done that 2 weeks in a row, where he sheds off that like diving tackle and takes it in.
Yeah.
That's
same kind of thing, right? Like both of them. Like you can't dive at his legs. You've got no chance if you do.
Yeah, he's amazing. And then gotta give a shout out to Buddha stripping Josh Kelly and then recovering the ball and almost taking it back for a touchdown. That was really fun. Right after we score, immediately fumble, take it back, score again. It was like game's over, man. It's 21-3. We get like we're crushing them. Like, their spirit is broken at that point.
Yep.
Like, it was so great.
Yep. Yeah. Shout out Josh Kelly. Sorry, buddy, for having to come back up to Pullman and
they tried
get whooped on back to Lubbock.
They threw a lot.
Man, they tried everything. I was like, is he going to get 25 targets? Like, how many targets is he going to get? Because they are like really force feeding him the ball. But like, again, like we talked about earlier, virtually every throw, like within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, he just could not get loose downfield. And I will say, the week before against Abilene Christian, especially as Morton really relied on him more as the game went on, he started pressing the ball downfield, and Kelly was really explosive. He was a handful for Abilene Christian. I mean, we just didn't allow that at all. And I think that was maybe the third. So you talked about, the running backs, talked about Mateer, talked about Buddha. And I think this is the part where we got to give a shout out to like Tyson Durant and Ethan O'Connor and Stephen Hill, and it's just like, dude, Stephen Hall. Damn it!
You did a Ted Robinson when he picked off that 100-yard touchdown. He goes, Hill. I mean,
yeah,
Hall. Stephen Hall.
Yeah. Fuck. Anyway, those 3 guys were fantastic, and they really, again, we really emphasize that. Texas Tech had to complete 1 billion passes just to get those yards. No explosives really to speak of. A lot of the credit goes to the secondary on that with, 3 damn new starters.
But not,
I mean, it
was usually on catch and runs.
Yes.
Yeah, like it was
and
short catch
if you throw the ball close to the line of scrimmage enough, you're probably going to bust one at some point. But still, it's like it's not like they were, pressing the ball vertically, really, breaking us with, explosive touchdowns. They weren't doing that. And a lot of the credit goes to those 3 guys. And also, I mean, I want to say, Gushigan had a great game. So maybe I should say 4 guys, but still
Gushigan,
it's like
Gushigan was great. He was trailing Kelly a lot.
Yep.
Kelly was going in the slot and Gushigan plays nickel a lot.
Yes. Yep. So those guys were great. I mean, I just think that, the defense especially kind of proved what we were saying a week ago, which is that we really trust Jake Dickert to work out some of the defensive issues. And, sure enough, defense was huge, turned up great. I mean, obviously that was somewhat aided by the turnovers and as we talked about with Brooks being out, but the defense, they played their game. They dictated the game back to Texas Tech in a way that we did not do against Portland State.
So the pass rush is a concern. They only have one sack, and they got that right at the end of the game against Texas Tech. This first of the season, but at the same time, they were getting a lot of pressure on Texas Tech.
They were
a lot of pressure on Morton. They were a lot of those bad throws were forced.
Yes.
So they're
particularly O'Connor's interception was that there was a guy in his face and he just threw a
and the one that floated in the air, like he could have just taken a sack on that, and Roth was hitting him, and he probably should have just taken a sack, and he tries to throw the ball up to no one, and it just WSU picks that one off too, and so the pressure definitely generated at least 2 of those turnovers, and so that's pressure I think was changing their plans a little bit. I think it's just at some point you got to create those like negative plays. I know like technically incomplete pass is kind of like a negative play, but a true like negative, like you're creating a 2nd and 15, you're creating a 3rd and 12 situation. Yep. That's such a big
Those
deal.
Are drive killers.
Drive killing. I do think they forced a couple holdings. They could have forced a lot more. There was like Texas Tech was hanging on for dear life sometimes.
Yeah, I mean the refs at one point for quite a while were just like, we're just not going to throw any flags. So I don't know where that crew came from too. Like I don't know. Do you know? Like I'm like,
I don't know.
I didn't recognize them.
I didn't recognize them.
Pac-12 guys, but I don't know. But they were just like they made some head scratching decisions for sure.
Yeah, and it's I don't know. I think it's improving. You got guys that weren't playing as much. They're playing, or they play at a lower level. Obviously this is going to be our toughest test of the season is coming up on Saturday.
Yep.
The best offensive line they're going to face all year. Probably the best quarterback they're going to face all year. This is it. It's so weird to say that in the 3rd game.
Yes.
Yes. This is our new reality.
It definitely is.
So it's but that's where we're at now. But so you really hope that they can, generate more pressure as the season goes on, particularly in this game coming up, please.
Yes, please.
But it's Cyrus Webster, that they really like him. I'd like to see him make a play. He did have a tackle for loss in this game, but I'd like to see him get to the quarterback. That would be cool. Like 4 or 5 times against. I know Quinn Roth. He's usually good for a few like real good rushes, and he did in this game. It'd be cool to see these guys like get home, and that honestly lends even more credence to like what the secondary has been doing. That there hasn't been like sacks. There was pressure, but like, the secondary is still like holding strong. So it's good to see Stephen Hall, Tyson Durant, Gushkin, and O'Connor just crushing it. I'm loving it.
Yep. And that's going to be so important this week, especially. Yeah. I mean, I think Washington. So it's probably before we transition to Apple Cup, should we do beer real quick, and then
let's do the beer,
and then do Apple Cup previews.
Yeah, absolutely. Apple Cup preview. It's Apple Cup preview, and I feel like I need to open the window in my fucking office. I'm sweating in here. It's like so my office is just a bunch of windows. It's basically like a sunroom.
Yeah.
And so it just gets so hot if there's not a window open during the day, and I didn't open the window today because it was like 55 degrees in the morning. And yeah, so now it's like really hot here at 10 o'clock at night. But yeah, beer. I need that to cool me down. So Jeff, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a beer that I've had on the podcast before for sure, but I was like, this is a special day. We have embarked on a new endeavor, and I was like, all right, well, I'll see what I got for hefty beers, and I was like, well, I don't want to drink a whole bomber tonight. That was not what I was going for today. So I saw, okay, I got this little 12-ounce bottle of Avery Imperialis, which again is a beer I've had before, but I think it is fitting today because Imperialis, I had to look up what Imperialis actually translates into. Usually the meaning is, so that there are a few things. It's obviously Latin of some variety. And there was one that I found that I was like, okay, this kind of fits. It's the doctrine justifying control over territories. And I was like, and here was another one, relating to, the empire or the emperor. And I'm like, well, it's pretty fitting for today, right? Like this is, we are staking our claim to the West and the West Coast and, adding to our empire, right, by getting these 4 Mountain West schools to come along. So Imperialis, by the way, a bourbon barrel aged, imperial stout. This one was bottled in April of 2022, so it's been mellowing for a couple of years, and it's very tasty, very delicious. I'm trying to drink it slow so that it warms up a little bit because it's pretty damn cold coming out of my fridge. So, but it's warming up a little. It's getting super tasty, and of course, always reminds me of the fact that we visited Avery when we went to Boulder, and I kind of wish Boulder was still I kind of wish Colorado was still in our conference so we could go back to Boulder because that's
well, now we can go to Fort Collins, baby.
It's true. Fort Collins is probably
also
pretty great too.
A really good beer town, and yeah, it's good. So from what I understand, it's a lot like Boulder. So yeah, we can head there.
Well, we'll have to do that. But they don't have Avery, and they don't have Uncle Jacob's Stout. Oh well.
Fort Collins got
That's
some
probably
pretty good breweries themselves.
We're probably better off because of that.
Fort Collins Brewery is definitely in Fort Collins, but there's a lot of other breweries as well.
Yes.
Odell. I don't know if you ever heard of New Belgium.
I might have heard of that brewery. Remind me again, what do they brew?
It's so famous that people actually think the brewery is called Fat Tire. So,
Fat Tire Brewery. What?
When you brew a beer that's so popular that people literally think that your brewery is called Fat Tire, and they probably at some point consider just changing their brewery's name.
Yeah, they probably should have, to be honest. But that's all right. What about you, buddy? What you drinking?
So I drank one I still had in the fridge from when I brought back from Anaheim when I went to Disneyland with my kids a couple weeks I guess it was almost a month ago. So probably should have drank it by now, but I forgot I had it. But I found it the other day, and I was like, oh, that'll be fun to drink on the pod. It's from Monkish Brewing, which is like a super. They started out as like brewing Belgian style beers, and then when hazy IPAs came along, they were like, let's try out these. It's a big craze. Maybe we can make some money selling hazy IPAs. Turns out they were really fucking good at it. Maybe one of the best breweries ever at hazy IPAs, and their IPAs blew up. People were standing in line for them forever. People were trading like bottles of barrel-aged stout for like one can of a hazy IPA. It was nuts. I went back in the day. I went to like one of their anniversary parties, and I could get their like anniversary sour ale, but their IPAs were already all sold out. But I was able to drink a lot that day when I was there. But now they've opened apparently a tap room in Anaheim, and like many breweries that used to be hype and you couldn't even get their beer, they have caught up to production, and you can get all their hazy IPAs whenever the fuck you want, and they're still really goddamn good. And I'm not a huge hazy IPA fan, but there are just some breweries that were the best of the best, and they just are above, like they're a cut above what everyone else did. And I think I may have done Trillium beer not too long ago, but this is like West Coast Trillium, monkish. This one's called Bomb Atomically, which is taken from Wu-Tang lyric, which I did not know. I didn't know this off the top of my head, but it was in the song Triumph. It's from the song Triumph, which I knew that. Like, I didn't know what the song was called, honestly. I just knew it was a Wu-Tang song. But it's one of the most famous.
I mean, it's all that
Wu-Tang
really matters.
lines. But it was Inspector Deck sang that one, or rapped that one. So Bomb Atomically, it's a double IPA, which they're really like kind of famous for their double hazies. Like when I was there, like half of the, I was trying to like, I just, Jeff, we're on vacation with the kids, and I got the little one down for a nap, and I was like, hey, she's probably gonna sleep for a while. There's this brewery in Anaheim that used to only be in like over by in Torrance and Torrance, and it's only like a 10-minute Uber away. It's an incredible, like, it's one of my like all-time like beer nerd breweries. And she's like, just go, just get back.
Yeah.
Cause we had like character dinner at 6. She's like, get back by 5.
Yep.
And so I go, I had like 2.5 hours or whatever. And I was like, oh, like, I'm not going to do too many, but I got like one of their lagers, but then I was just like crushing the IPAs. And then I bought a bunch of IPAs I was drinking. I brought some back to, I shared with them with some people, but it was just, this one's so good. Like, it's just a perfect double IPA, double hazy IPA. It's not too sweet, but it has that intense, like, intense like tropical fruit aroma that you would expect from a hazy IPA. It's a little bit bitter, but not too bitter. But it does have more bitter than like some of the like copycats have done. And just it has that like mouthfeel that you expect. I hate using that word, but it's the word that we created.
It's accurate.
The mouthfeel and it's like it's so spot on, everything about it. Like, this is what a hazy IPA should be. So ideal. So if you're ever down in Anaheim, or if you're in Torrance, California, LA area, Orange County area, check it. And you like hazy IPAs, or if you don't like hazy IPAs because maybe you haven't liked the ones you tried, Monkish hits it. As I think our listeners who listen every week to this, I'm always like hating on hazy IPAs for all being the same. These ones are not the same. They're perfect. And so I was so excited. So I was really happy to drink it tonight. I think that, that fits with this week. Everything's a big deal. So let's have a big deal beer.
Yeah.
Bomb Atomically.
Love that. Hell yeah.
Good stuff. And then, of course, I think both of us we got a Old Crimson sidecar.
Yes, we do. Mine's hanging out in the little winter jacket, or actually flannel, flannel koozie. Yeah. So
I got mine in. You got me one of those. I love it, but I got mine in the Yeti can cooler.
Excellent.
That
it's a good way to
my
keep
brother-in-law
it nice
got me
cold.
for Christmas. Thank you, brother-in-law.
Good job, Chris.
Yeah, way to go, Chris. I think I sent the link to Amanda, and then she passed it on to Chris, but he still got it.
Well, I think he gets the
but everyone's afraid to buy me gifts because I have very specific, but also hard, because I just buy everything I want. So it's like,
yes, it's like shopping
it's like,
for my father.
What do we buy the guy
it's
that
hard
just
to do.
already has everything he wants?
What do you buy the man who has everything?
And then if he wants it and he didn't get it, it's probably not available anymore. Like, that's just
it's like, it was like there was a time there where I used to like try to buy beers to give you beers, and then I was like, that's stupid.
Yeah,
Like,
all my friends
if he wants a
on
beer,
that
he
eventually.
already has it, or he can't get it. It's one or the other. Like, there's nothing I can give him that he'd be like excited about.
You can always buy me Old Crimson, though. You can always buy me Old
That
Crimson.
is true. That
I'll
is
always
true.
be excited about that.
Old Crimson
Even though I
was
may-
not, that
I
was not
potentially
around
have-
5-6 years ago.
I potentially have bought more of it than anyone. I don't know. If anyone thinks they bought the
that's
most,
a pretty
send me a
good
DM. We'll compare notes.
bet. Like I think, man, I would be surprised if anybody has purchased or consumed more Old Crimson than you. I just I think,
Like
I don't
in
know.
1 weekend.
Challenge accepted for somebody out there, but yeah, I don't know, man. You're when you are on the hunt to acquire a beer, you have elite beer acquiring skills that you're like I don't know, what was that movie? Taken, right? With Liam Neeson, where he's like, I have a very specific set of skills. And your specific set of skills is like getting your hands on beer when it's hard to get your hands on beer.
That's, I think, all my years of being a beer
You've
nerd
trained
and
for this.
Rare beer hunting. I trained for this.
Prepared you for this.
But good news, Fremont's taken over the production of it, and because they're taking over production of all Pike's beers. Fremont, much bigger production capacity. They're well aware of how popular this is, and Fremont's distribution company, Columbia Distributing, is now distributing it, and they have sent a shit ton in the last week to Pullman, a lot, all the places I know, I know that Safeway got 3.5 pallets, which is 350 cases of it.
Yes.
This week.
So much fucking beer.
And they got 200 cases last week, and everyone bought them out. So it's just, it sold out so quick. They were selling at a hella good price. 12 packs, $16.99. In the 12 packs, we will see that the beer is at almost a level of a domestic, which is you have no excuse to buy it after that. If you can get a 12 pack for $18, come on. Your Bud Light 12 pack is $15. Spend another $3.
Every fraternity on campus better be drinking that shit. I mean, come on.
Hell yeah.
What are we
doing?
Let's
go.
That should be what's stocking your fridges at your parties. And no, don't do that, because you're not supposed to do that.
You don't drink. It's dry.
Fraternities don't drink beers. What are we talking about?
Yeah. It's dry campus.
All right. So shall we talk about the game, where we will spend all of our time before the game drinking Old Crimson lagers at Marco Polo and potentially Flat Stick.
Potentially Flat Stick if we can get on the earliest Marco Polo shuttle.
Yes.
Got to get me, Jeff, nice and sauced for both. Okay, so Jeff and I are going to the Apple Cup. We have to.
Yeah, so that's probably a good time to announce we're actually going to the game. I know what I said. I know, but that was before the magic link.
I will say no more, but there is a magic link
I don't think there's good tickets left on that magic link.
Premium subscribers know about the magic link.
Yes.
Praise Evan Almighty. There's a whole fucking movie about it. But yeah, we got a good deal on some tickets. A really good deal.
Good deal on some tickets. So we were Craig
was
we're going.
Well, I was
and
Jeff,
what are
I'm
you talking about?
Dude, sorry.
I was teaching. Craig sent me a message. Was check this out.
We were already going to the Marco Polo thing, and we were already gonna go to the area of the game. I'm Jeff, we said we would go.
Probably to Flat Stick or something.
And the price is right, so we're going in.
The price was right. Craig was you ever, I don't know, probably everybody's had this experience where you get really excited about something and you send a text message and you're hey, should we do this? And then at some point, within 2 minutes, you're you know what? I'm not waiting. I'm just going to do it. You're
I know my friend well enough.
I'm talking about, I don't know. I mean, I'm talking to my class about fucking classroom procedures or some shit, because we're a week into the school year. And Craig's over here well, I bought him. We're going to the game. And I was okay, all right. I guess we're going to the game. So now I'm going to the game.
It's so funny because I was I don't want to pay these prices. So I had submitted for really late a press pass. And they were well, we already submitted the names, but we'll see. But I found out today I did get that press pass. So I got them both. So I can go up and give Softy some shit or something. I don't know.
You're gonna have to smuggle some food out for me, man. You're gonna have to.
I know, right?
putting it
Just
under
like-
your shirt and being like, I'm definitely not taking
have to-
food out of here to my friend.
I have to bring a jacket that doesn't have Coug stuff on it, so I can put
That's
it over my
right.
Coug
That's
stuff
right.
to go in there.
Yeah.
Now, like Coug fan,
I
they
think
have those
most of our
polos.
listeners are not, I was gonna say, I think most of our fans are not super aware of press box etiquette, which includes no cheering,
no cheering, and no team colors. Well, not
I'm just
colors,
assuming
but
you're
no.
gonna head up at halftime and tank up on some food, and then
Yeah, I think I'll probably like go maybe before the game, get some food, say hi to Jamie,
it's a good plan.
and then maybe go
Oh,
up
that's
at
it,
halftime.
man. I'm gonna miss out on that. I won't get to go say hi to Jamie. That's
Yeah, we both should have requested. I don't know why
should
we didn't
have.
think about that. We should
I
weeks
don't know.
ago
I
should have
just
done
did
that.
whatever. Should have.
Like
you're
Bill
right.
Bill, he obviously took care of me. Like we would take care of both of us.
Yeah.
like
Bill Stevens,
fine.
for people who don't know,
the
SID
the
at
great
WSU.
and honorable
He
Bill
loves
Stevens.
us.
Like fucking
He's
Mr.
great, dude.
Pullman, dude.
Yep, he's great.
Yeah, but yeah. So I got 2 ways into the game now. I'm like double going into the game now. I also have a press parking pass, which we're not going to use. So.
Which we're not going to use. We're actually going to take
'Cause-
public transit.
So
To
yeah,
see
we're going to
how-
take. So if anyone else is going to the Marco Polo event, we'll be at that before the game.
Yep.
We're taking
Yep.
taking the bus from Tacoma.
Very
Jeff,
excited.
maybe Jeff will pick me up at my house first, so I don't. Have to
I
take the
will do
bus.
that. Yes, I will.
So I don't have to take the bus to the bus.
I have to drop
Um,
off my kid at his cross country bus at his high school at 6:45, and then I'll just drive over to Tacoma. Pick
Sounds
you up.
good, man. That's like perfect.
We'll
timing.
jump on the bus. Yeah, it is perfect timing. We'll jump on the bus and ride the bus. It's basically a direct shot from the Tacoma Dome to.
I mean,
to
it's
Seattle.
it's only an hour from Tacoma Dome. Well, even to get to Soto, it's only like
the
50
bus ride.
minutes.
Nobody cares about this, but the bus ride to our bus stop is like 45 minutes. It's the hour comes in if we take the other bus down to Marco Polo, but I think probably in that area we'll be able to find some scooters and
which
we'll
would
just
be way
scoot
more
2
fun.
miles.
Some like 8:30 a.m. scooters riding to go get some beer, some 9 a.m.
Hell
beer.
yeah. Some
Some
9
9 a.m. Old
beers.
Crimson.
And breakfast burritos. I saw that was
We're-
included.
Oh hell yeah, we're just
Very
all
excited
in on.
about that.
We are all in on the fucking Apple Cup now. Look at us.
Yes, we are. Look at us. I know. Should we talk about the game? Should we talk about the game?
I guess.
I don't know, man. I don't have.
Secondary
I'm going to be honest.
my
I don't
concerns.
fucking know anything about Washington other than their whole roster's new. They have been less than impressive in their first 2 games. Defense still looks really good.
Defense looks really good.
Offense
defense looks good.
is
They're getting
iffy or inconsistent at least.
3.4 yards per play. I don't care who you're
Yes.
playing. That's ridiculous.
Yes, that's very good. That's very good. So, whatever, maybe I'm sort of hammering the under on my my fake degenerate picks that I do. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're like a 4.5 point underdog, I think, at this point. It opened at like 7 or something. And then it came down, and it seems to kind of be hanging out around 4.5. I don't know. Does that seem right to you?
Yeah, it seems right. Like Rodgers is obviously a good QB, and you got their running back looks real solid. Coleman.
Yep, he's good.
He gave us trouble last year as well. So they got offensive talent. Their offensive line looks pretty solid as well. But was it Durant that said they haven't faced our defensive line? Will Rogers never faced our defensive line. He meant this
Will
year.
Rogers hasn't faced a defensive line like ours, and everybody.
But he meant this year.
I think he
but
meant this year. Yes.
When you clip it, it's like, oh yeah, the dude that's like started like 60 games in the SEC or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I think maybe he's faced.
But you know what?
one.
Like, I love Wayshawn Parker said something like, "They don't respect us. So I don't fucking
Yeah,
care
hell
about
yeah.
them." He didn't use the F word, but like, I'm like, yeah, we should talk all the shit. I don't even care if we talk all the shit and
Bulletin-
lose. Like, let's just
what's
talk
a-
all the
what-
shit.
Bulletin board material is overrated, dude.
It totally
like,
overrated.
Huskies are motivated to beat us anyway.
Yes,
Like it doesn't
at least
matter.
in theory.
In theory,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's I think bulletin board material is like some made up shit. Like bulletin board material is like, oh, they disrespected us after they win, right? It's like a post hoc explanation of what happened, which is silly, right? Like I don't know, man. Players will swear that it's a thing, so I don't know. They're more experts on it than I am. But
Also,
I
look,
also
I'm going to
just-
go out on
whatever.
a limb and say that WSU's defensive line is better than Weber State's and Eastern Michigan's. I'm just
I
going to say
think
it.
that's probably
You
true.
know, I'm going to make that
No
that
matter
hot
what our
take.
concerns are with
A
the
hot
defensive
take.
line. Yeah. I don't think that's going out on a limb to say that. But
So yeah, I think Washington's gonna try to bottle up Mateer's running.
yeah,
And make
I
him
mean, if
throw.
I'm them, I'm like all in on whatever I got, eight guys in the box, whatever I got to do to make sure that they can't run. I'm going to make sure John Mateer has to beat me with his arm. Now, maybe he can do it. Like, we don't have any idea what John Mateer can do if he has to throw the ball 30 times. Maybe it's terrible. Maybe it's like, oh shit, he's a 50% passer and it's really bad. But also, like, there is a certain rhythm element to throwing the ball. And maybe if he's forced into a situation where, you know, he's got to throw the ball 30, 35 times, but it's not like 30, 35, you know, high pressure, really, you know, like sort of low probability type throws where they're behind the sticks all day. I mean, maybe he'll be fine. Maybe he'll get into a rhythm. Maybe he'll start hitting passes. I mean, against Portland State, I know most of those guys were wide open, but once he kind of found his rhythm, I mean, he was pretty much throwing darts. It wasn't like he was, you know, like guys were wide open and he was misfiring, but they happened to run under it. Like, I mean, he was really making some nice throws. Maybe that's there for him. I don't know. I don't think anybody does, right?
I
But
would
if I'm
say, like,
Washington,
you know,
I'm betting on that's not what he can succeed at.
where, you know, I'm up higher in the club at Martin Stadium, and there have been times you're watching the games at the first two, and like Kyle Williams has got single coverage. Kyle Williams
Yes.
beats the hell out of the guy. He doesn't throw it to him,
Yes.
and that's
Yep.
that's concerning. It's gonna be weird because we're gonna be like, you know, we got like pretty close seats to the field,
Yep.
and for a real good deal. So we're not
Yep.
gonna have that high
Magic
view.
link.
So it's gonna be
Yes.
hard to like recognize that stuff. So maybe I can enjoy myself a little more. Because like there was a couple times, especially when you're watching with BA, dude, it's just like,
Oh, yes.
BA, right? Am I
Diagnosing in
right? Am I
live time,
right?
and
Am
you're
I
like,
right? Like, you're like,
yeah.
he's like, yeah, dude, he should be looking.
Yes.
He should be looking.
That should be a touchdown.
Or it's like that should be like Kyle Williams. That's what he lives on. Like, but so I'm hoping like if they're doing it in the box that he can recognize like that, or I'm hoping that Kyle and the rest of the receivers can win some one-on-ones and just get open for him, and he can make
Yes.
those throws. Because I do think there. I mean, you can't not come off a guy running for 197 yards and not be like, okay, we got to stop that shit, and
Yes.
see him throw
No
9
matter
of
what.
19. Like, okay, he's 9 of 19, but then he runs for 197. Like, you
Yes.
got to be like, okay, we got to stop that 197. We'll take
Job number
our
one.
chances. We'll take our chances with 9 of 19. Yeah.
Yep.
And so that, you know, Washington's going to do that. Obviously, the Washingtons of the past have done exactly what they need to do to piss us off on defense. But obviously that was the other defensive coordinators or whatever to go. So we'll see. Like, we'll see how it works. I definitely like feel way better about this game than I did at the start of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I will honestly say that UW looks like probably a little better than I thought they would, but I think we look a lot better than I thought we
Yes.
would.
Yeah,
So
I
I
agree with
think
that.
this has a chance to be another close game like last year. I think there is going to end up being more Cougs in the stands than we thought. Well, we know for a fact like a few dozen.
Yeah,
we're
there
gonna
were
go,
definitely
we're
some
going
people
up.
who bought tickets who wouldn't have thanks to them.
But I think there's going to be a lot of latecomers. I think some of those StubHub tickets are going to come down, and I you know our student section's nearly sold out. So I think we'll have a decent showing. I still think the stadium 2/3 full, maybe.
I mean, I think they're going to take. I would not be shocked at all if they did what they do at concerts, which is where they like, oh, the bottom's not full. Okay, we're just going to pull people from the top and be like, hey, you want a better ticket? Here you go.
Because the 100 level and 200 level tickets are so expensive.
Yes.
Normally.
Totally.
But they like so expensive, and so it's like a lot of people are just buying the $70, you know, or the $90, $100, 300 level tickets,
Right.
just because just to get in the game. So yeah, you might be right, because like there's gonna be like empty rows of people in those like $300-$400 seats. Yeah, because like I mean it's the Apple Cup, but it's the September Apple Cup where they're not in the same conference. Like the stakes could not be lower. Like it's
Right.
like this game has literally like decided the Pac-12 championship multiple times in the last decade. Like, and then now we're just kind of playing a non-conference game in a neutral. I'm doing quotations. Neutral field.
Right.
Only one team had to travel 5, across the state, like get on a plane to go here. So I don't know if it's a neutral site, but now one team is not going to be like practicing at home. Well, but yeah, so it I guess whatever. We didn't give that much of a preview. I don't really know. Like it's
I don't
hard.
know.
It's
I don't have a
early.
lot of insight, man.
It's early in the season. Both these teams are so full of new players. Like it's like that 24-21 battle last year is like a distant memory. With like UW is missing like 20 of those starters are gone, and WSU like 15 of those starters are gone. So it's like like this is a whole different game. UW has a lot of good players, and there's some guys that'll be tough to stop. They have a coach that's won some games. It'll be interesting. But we've also seen that like Jake Dickert's gotten his teams to get up pretty well to play against some really good UW teams. So and then beat the shit out of one really bad one. So yeah,
but
I don't know, Jeff. Let's just go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I'm as much as I was like, I'm not going to that game. I'm actually kind of excited to go to the game and have a real like Coug experience for the day. Going to Marco Polo is gonna be great. I'm gonna be surrounded by Crimson. I'm gonna be surrounded by friends. I'm gonna be surrounded by Cougs. We're gonna go up to the stadium. Maybe stop by Flat Stick again at that point. Surrounded by Cougs, right? Coug owned, Coug run, Flat Stick. And then go into the stadium, and we're going to sit on a Coug side. And I'm going to be surrounded by Cougs.
So behind the Coug bench.
Yeah. So even if the game goes badly, I'm still going to be surrounded by awesome people. And I'm excited about that. Like, I'm really, really excited about that, because I don't know if I'm going to make it to a game in Pullman this year. It's a little dicey right now. But,
Jeff, are you advocating for a Seattle game?
No. Not even a little, not even a little bit. But in this particular instance, where I am going, I am excited about what I think it's going to be.
Where you spent your travel budget on a 3-week trip to Europe, and also to celebrate my wife's birthday with us.
Yes. So in between, not a lot of budget left for games, but I mean, I think that's going to be fun, and I'm excited about that. And, if folks can find a really cheap ticket on StubHub, I think it'd be great to go. I'm not gonna tell people that I'm not gonna give them the Coug fan, finger wagging shame guilt trip. Which also Jake Dickert kind of did a little bit, but he did it in nicer terms. But, I'm not going to give you that, but I do think if you can swing it, if there's a ticket that's cheap,
I do say, like, if you're close, I mean, I recommend like going up, hanging out at Flat Stick, having some beers, and checking StubHub, Vivid Seats, game time, whatever's your preference. Just checking it every so often, checking it right up to game time, even a little bit after game time maybe started. You might find some,
and maybe also
tickets.
there is an app called Game Time.
Yeah, that
is really good about selling cheap tickets, essentially right leading up to game time. So
like
I would recommend that too.
Before the night before the Coug game last weekend, I took my my good friend Dee and her partner Grace, who is also my good friend now. But we
that's how that works.
We stayed, or we went to Hozier, however you say it, at the Gorge the night before, and we had bought lawn tickets, and Dee was just actually trying to find Dee, who's been on the pod for premium subscribers. She's been on. Talked about how we turned Beer Star into a Coug bar. So I had to take her to Pullman. She had to see what it was all about. So she was just trying to find out who the opener was, but we were way late because, as everyone who has went to Pullman so far knows, or this weekend knows, there is serious construction on the Vantage Bridge.
It's so bad. It's
to the point where, like, you might consider driving through Yakima to avoid it.
Or up
if you're going to
around
Pullman.
Highway 2.
Or a Highway 2. Yeah.
Somehow.
Depending on where you're coming from.
Depending on where you're
But yeah, so we were barely making it in. So like we were getting in like while the opener's starting. But she looks on StubHub. There are like there are like box seat tickets for $20. Like, and so I was like, I grabbed her phone. I'm like, and I just bought them. And I was like, and like, I was like, okay, dude, we're like, because it was for her birthday as well. So it's like, we're sitting at the box seats because on the grass at this point, all those spots, all the good spots are taken. Guarantee. It's way back there. Like and Hosier is like her favorite artist. I'm like, well, sit in the box. We'll actually be able to see him. Like, and it was amazing. And so that's what I'm saying. Keep an eye because there are going to have been people that are just trying to unload these tickets.
Yes,
up until the game time, and those prices just keep plunging. So if you kind of want to go, but the price is too much, maybe just say I'm going to go have a beer at Flat Stick, and then I'll head in and buy a cheap ticket on the way in. So just pro tip.
Yeah.
But
at the very least, if you come into Seattle, go to Flat Stick and drink all the old Crimson. That also is a contribution. So that's good too.
So Flat Stick actually gives $1 extra per pint sold to the Cougar Collective. So you actually, who knows how much goes otherwise, but you actually tangibly know $1 of that like $7 beer goes to the Cougar Collective. So yes, good stuff. Jeff, I guess now that we've talked about this matchup for about 30 seconds and then just talked about a bunch of other stuff. Let's go to picks.
Yeah.
What's your score pick? Or did I go first or did you go first last week?
I don't fucking
Who cares?
You want me to go first? All right, fine, I'll go first.
I'm sure. Whatever,
I'm gonna go WSU 27, UW 24. Fuck the Huskies. We're going to win the Apple Cup. And then we should do what Zane, our buddy Zane, says, and we should figure out a way to just like, I don't know, melt down the Apple Cup trophy and turn to a turnover chain
never give
or
it
something.
Back.
Like, just never give it back.
Cancel the
series. Cancel the series. Melt down the trophy and just be petty as fuck. That is my
melt it down, turn to a turnover chain, I think is what he said.
Yep. That's my pick. How about you?
So I'll just stick with what I wrote to Seatown Sports' Q&A. I said WSU rushes for 200 yards and wins 31-28 over 200.
Hell yeah.
And wins 31-28. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's beat the Huskies.
Do it. Fuck yeah.
This would look.
All right.
If they win this game, it'll be one of the most. I mean, last year if they won that game, that would have been the most satisfying. But like. This will be one of the most.
If we win this game, it's going to be the greatest thing ever. And if we lose, I'm going to be like, I actually didn't care. It's going to be perfect. I can't lose.
No, Jeff, you're going to be pissed. I know, but it'll be fine.
Shut up, Craig. God, what? Are you my friend or something? Do you know me really well? Like, what even is this?
We're going to have to like go to Flat Stick after the game, cool down for a little bit, then take our bus back.
I know. And then take the bus back. Yeah.
At least we know we're just taking the bus back. So, like, if we don't take the shuttle, if we miss the Marco Polo shuttle, or just go back to Marco Polo. I don't know.
Like, we could do that too.
Yeah. Anyways. All right. So, just briefly, soccer knotted up with UC San Diego on Sunday. They played 3 games since our last pod. They tied 1-1 with Irvine, tied 1-1 with San Diego.
Not great.
This is just becoming standard. They did go down to Athens and beat a team in Athens.
Georgia State.
Georgia Southern.
Sorry.
And then they're playing another team in Athens, Georgia, on Sunday. It must be some sort of like invitational. I don't know. They're playing both of them. Because I don't know where Georgia Southern is normally.
Probably not.
They're playing both these games at Georgia's stadium. They're playing
Sunday's
Georgia.
a big deal.
Georgia on Sunday, big game. I don't even know if Georgia's good, but you're playing SEC and SEC country. Big game. The rest, it's all WCC. Well, you got one more Utah State, and then the rest is WCC after that. I would say probably needed more wins so far. All these ties aren't serving them well. Volleyball played home and home against Eastern Washington and beat them both times. 3-1 in Pullman, 3-2 at Eastern. But they also have the Apple Cup coming up. If you're listening to it today, when we release it, it's on Friday night. So if you want something to do on Friday night before the Apple Cup, you can watch the Cougs play Receiving Votes, University of Washington, at HECED / Alaska Airlines Arena. And then the next day they also play. It's called the Husky Invitational. They play UC Davis. So they got 2 games this weekend in Seattle. The game on Saturday is at 6 p.m. You probably could go to the Apple Cup and then go to watch volleyball play UC Davis if you are the coolest and most hardcore of Cougs. Just saying.
Yeah.
And I suspect that some will do that. Especially if WSU wins the Apple Cup.
Especially.
Like, the event just going, like, they're not playing UW, but they're just going onto the UW campus after you won the Apple Cup.
Dude, we're going to gloat so hard.
Like, I think Jeff will just, like, we're just doing that. We're going to the volleyball game.
Yeah.
Like, sorry.
Hell
texting our wives, like, we're not coming home. We're actually going up to UW's campus.
We're going to a
volleyball game.
We're going up there to taunt some Huskies and go
/ watch a volleyball game.
And then every point we score in the volleyball game, we're to be like, just like football. And we're just going to.
UC Davis is like, what?
Obnoxious people in the world.
Like, UC Davis is like, this is the drunkest bunch of volleyball fans I've ever seen.
But they will appreciate it. For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
By the way, those matches can both be found on Big Ten Network.
Big Ten Network. Or is it Big Ten?
I don't know if it's.
Plus?
I do not know if those are also being blacked out in the Northwest.
They probably are.
If the volleyball matches are as well. Don't worry, Peacock subscribers can watch the game. Just remember that. By the way, Cougs, it's on Peacock. You gotta share a password or something if you don't.
Get yourself a Peacock free trial or something for the weekend.
Oh, as Husky fans like to say, there's 33 million Peacock subscribers. I'm like, yes, they all have that to watch Husky football. That's what they're doing.
Yes.
That's how many people.
That's what they will be doing.
Yeah. All right. Volleyball, soccer, just keep on keeping on. Big weekend for volleyball. Big weekend for soccer. So keep an eye on that stuff. I gotta say, like, if there was ever a day to have the premium subscription, today was amazing. This week was amazing.
It's only going to get better.
Premium Slack absolutely delivered. We're gonna also, especially the more subscriptions we get, the more we can pay for really good writers to write for us. Even though obviously Jeff is the best writer, but Jeff has 3 kids. You know,
I do.
He's got shit to do.
It only took me 14 hours to write the newsletter that went out today. Like, I started at 4:30 a.m. did some writing for about an hour, a little over an hour, went to school, and then like whatever free time I had at school was destroyed. So I was like,
but yeah, if you want to join our premium subscription, we probably should say this up top, but maybe Jeff, you can insert something. I don't know. $5 a month or $50 a year. You get access to that premium Slack. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes you find cheap Apple Cup tickets on there. But yeah, today it was it was super fun with all the conference stuff. It was a really nice, like, safe space to like talk and not be like bombarded by like assholes who shouldn't have an opinion, whose opinion is so irrelevant. It's only the hardcorest of Cougs, and honestly, some of the most level-headed and hardcore Cougs as well. It's fun. It reminds me of the golden years of the Coug Center comment section. Yeah, it's great. So highly recommend. And then we do have some bonus content. We've recorded some bonus episodes as well for that, and you have access to that with a subscription. So check it out. We had a couple come in today, a couple new people, and I think it was just to get in on all the talk about the conference realignment or conference editions. So Jeff, you can find on Twitter at Pod versus Everyone. You can find me, Craig, at the Craig Powers. I do post occasionally some WSU stuff on my Instagram at Craig W. Powers. I don't know if Jeff posts about. I don't think Jeff even posts, so whatever. Jeff, do you want people to know your Instagram, Jeff?
Sure. Yeah.
It's at News.
I mean,
Coug,
I do sometimes.
At News Coug,
yeah.
At NUSS Coug.
And it takes more time to post on Instagram than it does to like just fire off a tweet. That's where I usually am.
Well, I think that's why I post the stories a lot. You just like stories are easy. You just post a picture or whatever.
It's true.
Yeah, but so you can find us in those places as well as the premium Slack, and then I guess after that, all that's left to say, especially on Apple Cup week, is go fucking Cougs.
Go fucking Cougs, Craig. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Vaccinated.
Get vaccinated. It's also flu vaccine time if you're into that.
Yep. Support a union, man.
Support a union.
Boeing machinists are on strike. Support those people.